Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kimothy, and on this channel we speak everything personal finance. In today's video, I'm walking again with the dog. Today I want to talk about something that I keep hearing about people around my age are wanting to do, and that is buying a house. Now, I don't know why everyone is so mystified, just blind to how expensive a house really is, because everyone wants to buy a house. Everybody's dream is to buy a house. And yes, we have a house, we bought a duplex, and we have a single family home that we bought as well. I'm telling you that buying a house, and this is coming from someone that has a house, that buying a house is not the end all be all of life. You can still be a successful adult, you can still be a contributor to society without buying a house. I don't think that buying a house should be a dream. I think that a dream that you should have is to retire before 65, to retire before 70, to retire early, to retire at 50, to retire at 55, to retire at 45. I don't think that you should look at owning a house as the pinnacle of life. It's a good feeling to have a house, to be an owner of property, but at the end of the day, you're never really owning the property, because you have property taxes you have to pay, and you have homeowners insurance that you don't have to pay, but it's good to pay it because if something happens in your house, you're not liable for the whole cost of it. So I really want you guys to get the idea of owning a home as this high level thing that you have to do in your life, because at the end of the day, you really don't. Where I'm at here in the Midwest, our home was $100,000. When we first moved into our house, the mortgage and insurance and property tax was about $650 or something like that. One thing that no one told me about buying a house was the property taxes go up. So a year later, I get a bill in the mail saying my mortgage or the escrow balance or whatever. See, I wasn't even fully understanding of buying a house. I just wanted a house because I wanted the duplex. I wanted to do the house hacking thing, and I'm really happy I did. And I took the shot. I took a chance at it. My mortgage company sends me a letter saying my escrow is shortage, and now I'm liable to pay $900 a month for a year for my monthly payment. So imagine the horror that I had. I mean, it still was okay because we're in a duplex, and the person upstairs, the tenant, whoever's there at the moment, is paying the mortgage. But imagine having your housing payment go from $600 to $900, a $300 increase, and you might not be prepared for something like that. So one thing that you really need to think about before you go out here buying a house is how much is property tax, because property taxes go up. If you're in a great neighborhood, you're gonna have high property tax. If your neighborhood is improving, is putting all these things in, where do you think that money is gonna come from? It's gonna come from the property taxes. So that's something you have to think about, especially when you're buying a house. When you're actually renting, your rent payment may not go up as much as a housing payment does. What you don't understand is that the mortgage doesn't change, but the property taxes change every year. The insurance rises every year, especially depending on where you're living. If you're somewhere in like Florida, California, and you're having all these natural disasters, your insurance payments are going to rise, and you might not be ready for that raise. So some states, I would say that it's better to actually rent. Like a place where I'm in the Midwest, you have cheap rents. Our unit is renting for a whole house about 700 square feet. It's not too big, it's a smaller house. Is renting for $1,050 a month. And we're small time landlords, so we haven't raised their rent in about 2 years, because they're great tenants. They take care of the property, they do what they're supposed to be doing, they pay what they're supposed to be paying, and we like them there. Nonetheless, I really want you guys to stop stressing about owning a home, especially if you're in these areas that are super high cost of living, like Massachusetts, Maryland. All these super expensive places are not worth the mortgage payment that you might be getting. With these houses are $500,000, $400,000 just to get into the market. And when you're buying a $400,000, $500,000 house, you're not even getting something good or something that you really want, but you're just doing it because you want a house, because you want to be able to say you own property. You want to be able to say you own land. And I don't think that having a $3,000 to $4,000 payment is worth that. If your housing payments are $4,000, $5,000, $3,000, you can probably rent in your area at $2,000. If you go to your lender, if they say you can afford a house at a $4,000 payment or $5,000 payment, then you can go rent for something cheaper at a $2,000 payment. If you can find something at a $1,500 payment, you have that big buffer between what you're paying for housing and what you're saving. If your housing is $1,000 and your mortgage payment that you could afford is $4,000, you have $3,000 that's not going to your housing, that can go to saving, investing. But if you go and buy that $4,000 mortgage and you have, say you make $6,000 or $7,000, yes, you have that $3,000 buffer, but you also have to realize that you're not just paying $4,000 for a mortgage. There's a lot of hidden costs that come with owning a house. For example, we bought a single family home around here, and like I said, it wasn't too expensive, but it needed a new roof. We bought it. A few months later, roof was leaking. We had some drainage issues. $10,000 right there off the rip we paid to improve the house, to do some things to the house that needed to be done. So yeah, that's really my main issue, is just stop worrying about buying a house. If you make $7,000 a month, if you make $8,000 a month, if you make $4,000 a month, don't get a house payment that is 50% of your income. A lot of people suggest that you get a house that's 30% to 25% of your income, so you can have more money to invest, and you can have more money that goes to just having fun, to enjoying your life, and not to just paying for a house. And if you do buy a house, if you are buying a house, be sure to put money aside for maintenance. Put aside 10%, 12% for maintenance, because we don't want to be stuck in the water when we have a maintenance issue, when the AC needs to be repaired, but at the same time we're already paying 35 to 45% to maybe 50% of our income towards our house. How is the rest of that money going to be invested if you're already paying 50% of your income to your house? So just don't get too much house. You don't want to be house poor. Get a house that's well within your budget. And if you can't find a house that's well within your budget in your state, then it might not be the best place to buy a house. It's okay to rent. If you're renting, rent and invest the difference. So like I said in the earlier example, if you can afford a $4,000 payment, go get an apartment that you can rent for $2,000 and invest the difference. So if they say you can afford $4,000, rent for $2,000 and invest the extra $2,000. And if you're living in one of these East Coast, Florida, California areas, it might be time to move if you really want to buy a house to somewhere like the Midwest where we are. You know, we found a $100,000 house 3 years ago, and there's other houses that are around the same price still to this day. There are $250,000 houses, there's $200,000 houses that are really nice and that we're looking to buy next year once we have our baby. So consider moving to different areas, especially if you really want to own a house. But just also don't forget to just stop putting owning property, stop putting owning land as this high level thing, because at the end of the day, it's all just a place to live, and it's just a money drainer, to be honest with you. It takes more money from you than it gives you, especially if you get too much house. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.